And let's talk about these teams a little bit more. We got Detroit Catholic versus Putnam Science Academy. And James, you're a little familiar with this Detroit Catholic squad.
Yeah, yep. This is a team from Michigan. They played in MHSCL along with my team, the Byron Center Bulldogs. And I know firsthand how stiff the competition is in Michigan. So I'm expecting a lot from Detroit Catholic Central here.
As you can see, obviously, you do not get to the grand finals in the PlayVS Cup without having an outstanding look at your win-loss record. And they're about even here. I mean, pretty much across the board, except for the playoff games record. You see Detroit Catholic, we did see their side of the bracket. It was a tough battle, having a 7-game series in the quarterfinals and a 6-game series in the semifinals. For Putnam, though, they've kind of ran through that bracket a little easier.
They didn't lose a game in the PlayVS Cup bracket. So they are, I think, they're a team that I'm wondering what kind of form they're going to bring it to, because you're playing other champions. You're playing regional champions from the spring and fall in the PlayVS Cup. So to not drop a game is incredibly impressive, especially in a game like Rocket League.
Absolutely. Well, James, I think it's time for us to pick our sides. I don't know how the predictions have gone. I stopped keeping track after I got my first one wrong. But I will say this. I think this one just may be an insane one. It's been great so far. Who do you got?
I'm going to have to back the team from MHSCL. I'm going to go with Detroit Catholic Central. I just because I have experience in how good the teams in Michigan are. But Putnam, they are undefeated right now.
You know, they
haven't dropped a game, rather.
Yeah, I mean, they absolutely went through that playoff bracket, and that's why I got Putnam for this match. They're going to take on Detroit Catholic, and they're going to take them down. But chat, you guys in the Twitch chat, you can also let your voice be heard in the Twitch poll at the very top of Twitch chat. Be sure you're clicking the button on who you think is going to win, and make sure you hit vote. Otherwise, it won't submit. But hey, that's enough of us waffling around here. We have a colleague of ours, Subi Smash, along with HAILMONKEYMAN to bring you guys the action. Let's send it to him.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you're joining us from. And we're almost down to the pitch, and this long, arduous journey that these two teams have been on is almost coming to its culmination. They are battling for $7,500 in scholarship money, which is huge for high schoolers. As I said, I'm Subi Smash, and joining me today is HAILMONKEYMAN, and welcome to the booth with me. I'm so excited to go on this journey with you.
It's honestly going to be a fantastic one, a difference of ideals and pathways, one that's been an unstoppable force cruising through as fast as they can, but it has been a galvanized group out of the side of DCC. I got the pleasure and the privilege to actually see them in their semifinal last week, Subi, and they were able to take down Bob Jones, who was that big favorite coming out of Alabama. The fact that simply we're going to be going into this and both these teams are just ready to go, haymaker for haymaker, it's going to be a fight to the very end. I actually got to talk to the coach out of the side of DCC. He said, we're going to leave nothing to question as we get on the pitch.
I mean, you got to lay it all out on the line. It all boils down to this. 7 possible games separate us from a champion, and you know that these players' nerves are just shattering right now in game number 1. But things are going to start to settle down through the midway point of this game, and we'll finally see some great Rocket League.
As we go into it, Detroit Catholic Central, they have a huge supporting force, and they support one another in a big way. Aliotic, they'll find the first cruising bullet as we get the first on the board.
And a great carry through the corner here from Kachow, and just finds Aliotic top of the box. I love the confusion that they're creating at the front of the goal, and just right out of the gates making a statement with the first goal.
They want to do this early and often because PSA, this Putnam Science Academy Mustangs group, I mean, they've had to change it up from the previous year to this one. A lot of experience having to go hand over hand, fist over fist between the seniors and now the juniors that bring it in. Marcus is going to be the X factor as well, but they have a lot of patience on their side to really let this one stabilize. It's just game number 1. Oh, but Swaz, they get sexy with it.
And Swaz marching all the way down the field, capitalizing on the aggression from DCC, and just carries it all the way to the net, gets a flick over Marcus, and Kachow a little too late to catch up on that one. And just like that, the Mustangs equalize us in game number 1. And I got to tell you, Monkey Man, we can already see this is going to be a close-knit battle. I can see why Jamesboy and Jordy were split on the desk with their picks.
Oh yeah, these two teams have gone through and up and down this bracket. This is an open net though. Has finds basically an open opportunity. Of course, they're going to take these.
Yeah, you got to be able to take these. If you miss these ones, you're not going to find yourself a champion. And the defense nowhere to be found, seemingly just struggling for boost and all bailing out of the defensive half in the waning first moments of this game. And a good kickoff yet again from the Mustangs. And a good demo from Swaz on Kachow. I love to see the back passes, love to see the gameplay so far that we're seeing from Putnam Science Academy, as they've really had a stranglehold over midfield after that first goal.
Yeah, well, all of a first goal in a first minute, not defining the entirety of a game nor series, as they will bonk this one to the backboard. Something that really does elucidate us is DCC, they can be taken advantage of from midfield. A lot of open field dribbling. That's why they've been really coached up to cut down on space. Not allow those overly mechanical plays to evolve. That's going to be a big clear, though, out of Swaz and Marcus as they do get that demo. It really won't come out of it as they end up in a neutral space right now. Just end over end, trying to vie for at least some upfield pressure.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying the spacing that we're seeing from Putnam Science Academy. Really just allowing the ball to come to them. They're not trying to overextend. They're not getting overly aggressive. They saw what happened to Detroit Catholic Central High School for that first goal. They don't want that to happen to them as Marcus goes up high off the crossbar. He's looking for a bump, can't quite find it, and Aliotic gonna finish off this goal to tie us up.
Look at this 1-2-3 play. Marcus found the initial dime as it was dropped from the ceiling in Kachow. I don't know if that was supposed to be a direct online, but Aliotic said, yo, I got you on the perimeter, and comes flying into that top corner. No boost left. Get it done. Tying us up at 2 just before the midway mark, and that's a great response after you were wilting for the last couple shots.
Absolutely, and I love to see the play that they had off the backboard and all three members going forward. It wasn't too aggressive in my opinion. It was smart gameplay there, not putting themselves out of position as Kachow trying to slow this one down. Recognizing the field, reading his opponents, but here comes Swaz. He has, and that's off the crossbar and down and out. Dangerous ball, but Kachow gonna clean it up and push it back towards midfield.
That's fortune's favor right there because the defender that was left over in Aliotic had no boost. They were dead to rights, but ends up dropping into the front face of the crossbar. So they're going to take what they can. That's going to be an attempt by Haz to get a bump. They need to get rid of the X factor. That is Marcus because he's going to be that midfielder that really can open up individual chances. Kachow going to be overran by Aliotic as they call them down. And really, this is PSA now finally being put through their repetitions as Marcus again finds a demo, tries to thin him out.
Yeah, and again, the over-aggression from DCC almost came back to bite him in the back end. But thankfully, still all knotted up. Swaz through the air, runs out of boost, can't finish that one. It's off the post and out. And here comes DCC off to the races, and Kachow a little wide on that. Love the passing play, but the accuracy not quite there.
Yeah, they were waiting on the outside for kind of basically a fadeaway to anything that would escape that midline, but ended up not being able to adjust in time. Bit of micro ball play. 80 seconds to go. Swaz just wants to kick it upfield, force Marcus to have to burn through their reserves as they steal their corner boosts. That's going to at least make them a little bit weaker, but Kachow, the captain, the senior, the squad, is trying to be able to get galvanized and revitalized alongside them. We may be seeing a minute remaining, and OT could be in our very near future.
Yeah, it's definitely looking like it. Things have really settled down once we pass the midway point here in game number 1. Here comes Haz. Can't get the 50 on that one. And Swaz smartly just backs off. Torrential gonna come in, but pushes that one right to Kachow. And Kachow keeping the aggression. 45 seconds remain here in game number 1. We're getting into golden goal territory. And Marcus, very aggressive there, trying to keep things alive.
Aliotic had to stay at the midfield line, and now this is just Haz taking over space, looking for a 50 with 30 seconds to go. You don't want to give up that back line. Torrential, they came in as kind of basically a fill-in, and now the squad at PSA have really been able to run behind them, as well as Swaz, who's been consistently jabbing from the front. Aliotic wants to be able to get it from Kachow. Now it becomes a 2v2 race in this corner. Oh, Marcus takes that easily in stride with 10 seconds to go.
Yeah, great soft touch there, but a 50 in favor of PSA. 5 seconds to go. Can they steal game number 1? Ball still in the air. It's got to touch the ground, and it's still up. It's going to be a fast break for Kachow. He's got to keep it up, and here comes Marcus with the shot, but Aliotic, the comms off point, and the ball gonna hit the ground. In overtime we go.
Subi, the what could have been. We saw two go in and maybe a pinch in a different, distant dimensional drift, but instead we see this one go into OT regardless. Kachow had lights in their eyes and they couldn't quite thrive on that catch at midfield. Now they're going to retreat all the way back. Swaz looking to guide this team here in this deep OT. That could be a foot race. Has to get there in time, and they do.
Great heads-up play, and Marcus not going to be able to get the double tap off the backboard there as Swaz and Has combined to keep that ball out. Little miscommunication, but it works out. And Swaz, no more boost. Kachow easily going to hit that one back down to Aliotic. Great team play there to get this ball out of their half, and Aliotic just marches all the way down the field. Ball sitting at the top of the box, and finally, PSA Mustangs able to get this one out of their half, but they're not quite out of the woods just yet as Swaz, big time save, and Torrential can't catch up, and Kachow takes game number 1.
They hit him every which way here, Subi. Marcus went for the dunk, then they came out and got the bump, slinging away Torrential, and Kachow just has to put a zinger at the low side corner. DCC, the Shamrocks. It doesn't take luck, just skill, and they're able to out-persist the Mustangs in game 1.
And great job, especially getting that early lead and then the over-aggression a few times to just really find themselves in a hole, but they were able to tie it back up. And interesting game there as DCC only 2 saves throughout the entirety of that game and overtime, almost 6 minutes of gameplay. But they're just showing you they are just ready to break out of their own half and get those shots on target, and that's what they do best.
Oh, they definitely do. And they know that they got to be able to cut down on floor space that they're giving up. I believe that they're going to be targeting Swaz. They did this last week whenever they went in against Bob Jones. They know how to isolate, especially an ace-type player. And Swaz, you can tell that their shoulders are going to be burdened with some weight to make sure that they can get out of the back half cleanly. 13 shots to just 6, Subi. You had 8 of those get saved, and then the rest plinked around the outside. But just like you said, DCC didn't really have to rely too much on definitely being to the goal line for that defense. There was a bit of errant accuracy, but that was also just game number 1. Everything should calm down soon.
Yeah, and just my early initial thoughts from Putnam Science Academy. Great gameplay throughout there, but what I'd like to see is a little more team play, especially in that offensive half. When you've got 2 goals against your opponents, but neither one of those are assisted, just means you're kind of taking advantage of some mispositioning, which obviously you got to do, especially if you want to take home a championship. But if you really want to be able to pull this one through, you got to come out with those team plays. I'd like to see some infield passes, maybe some set and design plays.
Feels like they're going to have to
oh boy,
get in sync very quickly. Aliotic is not going to let them settle. They find the first very fast.
Yeah, and he is just all over the pitch. Great touch here from Marcus, and Swaz, you can't carry that right in front of your net. It's just an awkward place and an awkward ball, and Aliotic gets his 3rd goal of the series.
They're setting the standard early because Swaz, again, we talk about him, he's going to have to really pick up the pace entirely. But it can't just be on them. You got to have both Has and Torrential. But Swaz, you know what? Sometimes an outside shot will do just fine.
Well, and such an awkward angle to come from. He's coming from that inside angle, and then he's got to be able to touch the ball ever so gently on that outside and tuck it under the crossbar. Great shot placement, and Has credited with an assist there. Already 15 seconds into game number 2. And we're shooting lights out.
I'm down for it. Let's see this speed up. I love a good old Big 12 style offense. I know everyone else wants to see it be a grinder, but nah. Give me the non-technicals. Just run downhill. Swaz wants to try and extend this one over Marcus, who's looking for an extra touch, and that does bait up Torrential, but wants to keep this in the forward half and allow Swaz to maybe come up later. Torrential off timing on the corner, and so that means Swaz will have to take over. But you see how they're looming. It's less about team play and just about how many times they can drop it into that back zone.
Yeah, it's all about sharking at that midfield. They're playing almost like a spy on all of the defenders, just waiting to see who touches it, and then they'll go forward. Great positioning so far from Putnam Science Academy as has an open net, and he's able to capitalize on that one. Again, the over-aggression from Detroit Catholic Central on full display.
Yeah, instead of rotating just a bit more back into that deeper 3rd zone, they wanted to go directly for that challenge. But if you lose that and you can't get the angle, then you're basically done in dirt. So the first minute, we go 1 second over here, so we've got 3 goals. Feeling kind of deja vu right now.
Absolutely, and I love these shootouts early on in the series. Give it to me. But once we start getting closer to that Game 7, that's when I love those 0-0 score lines. Really put you on the front of your seat, sitting on pins and needles, as Marcus launches that one on target and gets a demo as well. Man advantage, but they can't quite capitalize as great rotations come in from Putnam Science. But Detroit Catholic not quite done, just keeping this ball looming in the orange half and just trying to create awkward timing for PSA.
Marcus was actually sitting on PSA's own corner boost, just waiting to steal it, to not let them go up and have a counterplay. And now they're responsible for this back corner defense, which they've done before pretty cleanly, but they have to use the majority of their boost to be able to get upfield, so Torrentel is going to be responsible against them as well. 3:03 on the clock. It did take a while the last time round for this to become an even venture. Torrentel in a 1v1. He lets it drop. Okay. Gets it around. They extend their lead.
You love to see that from Torrentel. You go up, and your first goal is off of a fake. Marcus has to respect the fact that he might touch that. He might come in for the bump, and that one just falls into the net. The Mustangs with the 2-goal lead.
Finally running forward with some authority and purpose. Kachow, they're just going to go for a zinger right here, working for maybe the 50-50. And you know, we were talking about team play. Individual play can still pop off, Subi. And even then, they've been able to really just kind of force the Shamrocks to have elongated saves in their defensive half. And they've been playing together. They have these that kick out to the top of the box, and they'll find a fourth.
And again, 4th goal in game number 2. 4th assist behind it, and great communication to call Swaz off of that ball. He had the shot lined up. And just like that, Detroit Catholic find themselves in a big hole. They've got half of a game to pull themselves out.
Maybe one extra, but Swaz already the early threat dissuaded and diluted, and they find an immediate punchback. All right, 5-1. We're at the halfway mark. This one's just kind of going a bit nuts.
It's getting out of hand for sure. 4-goal lead, and sometimes that's just the way it goes in Rocket League. You find yourself down 1 goal, you blink, and all of a sudden you're down 4. It's exactly what's happened to Detroit Catholic Central High School. But still, I have always had the mantra, whatever a team does to you in the first half, you can do to them in the second. But they've got to get to work now. And my oh my, it would be so nice to get one of those goals right now to cut down that lead, but not looking like it's going to happen.
And Mantra's saved a couple of my twos matches before, and Kachow will at least get one. They've been on the lesser side of this, and you know DCC wants to run behind the leadership of Kachow.
Absolutely. You love to see it. He's almost poaching upfield. Nice little cherry pick to cut the lead down by 3. Definitely doable now, but they have to keep up that aggression, but they have to do it smartly. They can't put themselves out of position to immediately get scored upon.
DCC has actually had the majority of shots, only lane by 1, but they've had a stellar defense in the name of literally one person, Swaz. 6 saves to meet the 9 or the 8 shots that have been posted up, and they have been able to be a menace on both sides of the pitch. 100 seconds approaching, and the Mustangs let one through, and you see how they've now been able to tighten up this rotation. Swaz actually does come up. Kachow takes that mid boost. It becomes a 2v2, looking for the power flick, but Haz will shut it down.
And 90 seconds remain here in game number 2. Detroit Catholic Central still trying to cut this lead down, but a good 50 there. Puts them out of position, actually. The Mustangs rushing back to the back line, and Kachow just going to push this one off the back wall, and Marcus swoops in. Communication was good, but he couldn't quite find that angle. It was a tough one to try and get it on target.
Yeah, they wanted more power. They definitely were trying to scoop it from right to left, and then they were unable to feed it the entire distance. A minute remaining. Big demo by Marcus. If you can't get around them, get through them. This one's going to hit the ceiling. Aliotic will send it full, but they actually don't have any extra boost. Flip reset in the back pocket of Marcus, but because everyone is pressed up over the midfield line, it is basically an open back third. Has with a put away, and this one might be able to just ice it out.
Yeah, just a little gimme on the back half here. Great pass from Torrentel. Awkward one at that. Pinches it off the back wall, and Has just focuses up. He's hit plenty of those in training. And just like that, the Mustangs all have 2 goals each. Riding high here in game number 2. Not too worrisome on that one. Still 3-goal lead, but you don't want to allow those once you get into game number 3.
Yeah, this one's going to be, oh, whoops, with slip through. You start challenging and you start going for a couple of these two-man rushes, especially on the kickoff, and see what can work, what can't. This is kind of that pseudo garbage time, just at least experiment a little bit, but don't let it multiply. I said don't let it multiply because Ka-Chow now brings it within 2.
Okay. I mean, 36 seconds. Yeah, it's a long time, but it's not that long. But when you're giving up kickoff goals, that lead starts to dwindle quickly, and we're seeing that right before our very eyes. Let's see if they can clean this one up, as Aliotic just going to push this one back. 30 seconds to go. They need 2 goals. The goal's wide open, and oh my goodness, we have a ball game on our hands.
You wouldn't have thought this if you looked at what it was just about 30 seconds ago. Marcus letting all of the traffic simply narrate itself, and then they come in to put their name at the end of the paper. With 28 seconds to go, Subi, this is now doable, and Mustangs have got to be shaken.
Oh, absolutely. All the pressure is on the Mustangs. If you're DCC, you're feeling fine. I mean, yeah, you don't want to lose the game, obviously, but you are down and out in this one. As 12 seconds to go, not the greatest touch there on the back pass. Aliotic just has to put that one up to Ka-Chow and rips that one away. Here comes Marcus. 3 seconds to go. This ball just has to hit the ground, and it does. And PSA Mustangs skate away from this one, stealing game number 2.
All for content, right? Always for content. 15 shots to 10 out of the Mustangs, and it got a bit hairy, it got a bit scary, and DCC, they at least get to walk away thinking, you know what? We could have had that one. I like what we got seeing set up, especially Marcus and Ka-Chow. Ka-Chow was at like 70 points, by the way, for at least 2.5 to 3 minutes. They come in with a hat trick at the end of it, maybe call a little bit of extra time, but otherwise, that's something that you actually have momentum now built up for the Shamrocks. But the Mustangs did get a win. I can't take that away from them.
No, I mean, it was a great victory, but you got to just keep your pedal to the metal, and that there is the proof in the pudding that you need to see. Like, okay, we can't just give up, basically, with 1 minute still left on the clock. But one thing that I do like to see from Detroit Catholic Central is the fact that Aliotic had 100% goal participation.
Mm-hmm.
And in game number 1, he almost had 100%. He had 2 goals in game number 1, and this one, 1 goal, 4 assists. So he is just doing whatever he can to try and will his team to victory. And in between these games, we're just going to have a little technical pause, try and figure some things out for one of these teams. But this one has been so close. And I told you in game 1, hey, we're going to see some nerves on the line in the first couple minutes. But once we hit that midway point, these teams are going to lock in. And they have absolutely locked in for game number 3. I can't wait to see which one of these teams is going to start to climb their way to be the king of the hill. The championship, that cup, is within reach. Both these teams have won a game. They know that feeling. Both have lost a game as well. They know that feeling. They know what they're doing right. They know what they're doing wrong. But for you, what's the key to victory for both sides of the pitch?
Ooh, see, I rest upon highlight players. That maybe that's the easiest thing to do, especially as a caster. But I see both Swaz, and then I see kind of a change of the chemistry that is DCC, because Swaz obviously was up and down the pitch doing what they could to enable both Torrentel as well as Haz. You can see the confidence really brew. Even more of that. They're going to be the sweatiest player in the lobby, and that's going to end up putting a lot of stress on them. But when Haz and Torrentel can find that level of confidence in their leader, then they're going to be able to do just fine. Same thing's going to come out of Ka-Chow. When they came alive, the rest of that team did too. But
the kickoff goal goes the other way this time, as Detroit Catholic, great 50 there on the ball. But unfortunately, the Mustangs capitalize on this one to take the lead early on. And I feel like every single game we've had a goal within the first 30 seconds.
It's something like that. I think it was like 9 on the other on game number 2. Swaz was put under pressure, and you know what? They want to strike early. Both teams, well, seeing what they can do with that first lead. And this is going to go over the head of Torrentel, and Aliotic looking for their own 50.
Oh, yeah.
But it's the follow-ups, man, on that demo. Still looking for the putback, and no one can get back on that attack.
Ooh. Marcus got bailed out here because it was a great play with that demo. Thankfully, Aliotic heads up, top of the box, able to quickly pull that E-brake, slide, get behind the ball, and put the shot on target to tie us right back up. I mean, these games just feel like they are a mold of one another. One team scores early, and immediately there's an answer. This series has just gone back and forth, and these high schoolers showing you, I mean, not only are they best in the PlayVS Cup, but they are some of the best in the country right now. This gameplay has been incredible.
They want to be able to showcase what that next level is missing and that they want to be part of it. Aliotic obviously has been a big part of this squad, the glue I like to call him, to really fit between both Marcus as well as their teammate. And you know what? Kachow, as that leader, they know that they can find some of that energy coming through. Kachow's going to actually just have no boost, no extra energy. But Marcus is on that outside perimeter. It becomes a Swaz with a 1v1. Aliotic has to find it, and they will scream across the goal line.
That was almost in. That was incredible. But on that play, you saw Marcus, kind of hesitate. He showed that he was going to challenge, then he backed off and just gave so much room. And on that play, I'd like to see him just put his head down and just challenge that ball. He had plenty of boost, plenty of time. His teammates were behind him. So just a little decision-making that we'd like to see from Detroit Catholic Central. But still, all knotted up. Big game here in game number 3. As DCC pushing the pace, pushing the ball forward, top of the box. The 50 is there, and Marcus can't quite connect.
Everyone becomes a field goal post, and Swaz is just trying to score whenever no one has boost. It was a weak moment, a vulnerable moment there for DCC, but the Shamrocks get back in time and put some bodies on the ball. Has massive flick. It's going to have a ton of height, and Torrentel is trying to be able to center up again. A big demo buy has onto Aliotic, but even with very little energy as well as boost left, everyone is able to at least advance onto the orange hat.
Whoa, Marcus, big swing and a miss. Love the bait there to pull him off the ball. He thought the touch was coming, thought he was going for a huge challenge, but it wasn't there for him as Marcus goes up again. Here comes Kachow to try and keep things in. Aliotic going to do it well. All 3 players of DCC bunched up in that corner. Thankfully, didn't get punished on that one, but here comes Haz. Just pushes this one up to the side wall, gets the bump as well, and going to get things going for the Mustangs.
Something that I was going to mention that was missing for the Mustangs for a while was physicality. Well, they've really ramped it up into this game, but it's been omnipresent for the Shamrocks. Flip reset, Aliotic looking to set up to the backboard. Who they got? It's Kachow. Slow floater! He put some extra English on that one. They found a lead from it.
Sometimes you just got to pull out the changeup and hit the fadeaway. Kachow slows this one up. Swaz not able to get there and has too slow to jump up high. And DCC take the lead. 2 minutes and 2 seconds to go here in game number 3, but they're in the driver's seat.
Been able to find that momentum since game 2 now into here. And you really feel like the Mustangs being put through their paces and changing up their roster a little bit, having to constantly evolve and adapt in real time. That's tough to do. You got to keep those comms open, and you got to keep swinging and sliding. Aliotic is going to boom this one away. Finds it from the backboard, but that's Kachow.
Oh yeah.
Immediately gives it to Aliotic. What a passing play.
Infield and in on this play. Good heads-up play from DCC. Kachow recognizes the defense had pulled all the way out of the net. No one's far post, so he just hands it off to his teammate. And Aliotic with his second goal here in game number 2.
DCC never goes away. They get into your back half, and you think, okay, all right, everyone's gone through their rotation, right? We're free? No. They're going to constantly rotate at least twice, maybe even thrice. Torrentel tries to swing it to the outside, and there's less than 90 seconds to go. Shamrocks looking like the much more authoritative game piece right now. Swaz has been nothing but echoes and memories. Kachow hoping for 50-50, but seems that the Shamrocks are able to escape again.
And 70 seconds remain here. Get that one out, and they do, but the Mustangs need to get to work now. You're down 2 goals. You want plenty of time to try and equalize. And Torrentel not going to be able to catch up to that one. Here comes Haz. Good 50, but no one there. 55 seconds to go. Again, urgency starting to set in. They need to get this goal. They need to try and tie this up. But they are keeping the ball in the half and doing things well right now.
A very trusting rotation there by DCC. Trying to stay very tight-knit even when they're on low boost. 35 seconds approaching, and again, Kachow, they're going to try and thin out any kind of counterplay, and that's been making it so difficult for PSA to even get one single foot of advancement. Aliotic will just simply wait this out, and they can really play a longer rotation and just wait to win 150 after another. This one may be completely shut down.
Yeah, and I love the idea there from Aliotic. He slowed things up, got the boost steal to really slow up the Mustangs, and all they're doing now is playing keep away. They can bolster up the defenses, put another shot on target. Why not? Marcus put it in and secure game number 3. And they are officially in the driver's seat for this series.
Just, when you just trap your opponent for so long and it feels like you can't win any touch, a single touch to just move forward, it eventually wears on both your car as well as the player. And that one will wear this one out. Game number 3 will be in the books. And DCC Shamrocks, they'll take the lead back in the series.
They are just playing lights out right now. The confidence at an all-time high for these players. And if we're giving out MVP medals, which I don't think we are, but I'm going to do it anyway. So far, it's Aliotic. He is doing everything for DCC. He is just willing this team to victory, getting involved everywhere. Goals, assists, the saves. But the most impressive part of this team is the fact that every single goal they have scored so far in this series, throughout 3 games, has been assisted. They are working as a team, man. They don't care. They don't care about that individual gameplay. They don't care about the individual accolades. They just want to win.
These players work as a team. This program works as a team. DCC has been doing it top to bottom, from the players to the school to the coaches, and it really kind of shows in their gameplay. PSA, they're a bit dumbstruck, awestruck for what they have to deal with throughout all of these games. When we go to game number 4, the biggest thing that you got to find is that they cannot allow this one to get out of control. Early on, they've got to find themselves at least in a more just even press going late stage into game number 4. You don't want to go down 3-1.
No.
That one's, look, 0-3 is already tough. 3-1, it's just about the same, especially with how these games have been played.
No, absolutely. This one, you got to come out and make a statement. And from what I've seen, it just seems like DCC is the quicker team. Seems like they're quicker to the ball, quicker in the air, a little better reaction time. Maybe I'm just, old man and not seeing things correctly. That's definitely possible. But from what I'm seeing on the pitch, I'd really like to see PSA kind of bait them into their own half. Say, okay, yeah, you guys are on offense. Yeah, keep getting aggressive, and then capitalize on those big booming clears downfield. Because so far, from what we've seen from DCC, all 3 members are pushing into the offensive half. No one is past midfield line. So those big booming clears, if you put them on target, you're going to score those. I'd love to see that from PSA if they can kind of work that into their game plan.
Yeah, the most difficult part about being able to accomplish that as well is that because everyone is upfield, you have the tiniest window to accomplish that level of counterplay immediately. They did it a couple of times, and it really did catch them off guard. We got to see that in games 1 and 2, but they cannot allow themselves to just be put under the thumb of the Shamrocks, which was happening way more often, especially we could give it to garbage time, but a 6-5 ender was a bit sweaty. 4-1 is just a carryover from that previous game. I want to see how Torrentel could be able to get a lot more comfortable, especially into the rotation where Swaz wants to be able to swing something upfield and has had amazing drop zone play. They were able to bring it into that back third, and they were just basically putting them in a pressure cooker against the Shamrocks. So the Mustangs have found those moments, but they haven't found them in surplus lately.
Well, like you were talking about earlier for the Mustang, it's tough when you're changing up the roster. You're used to playing with certain guys. You almost know where they are without even coming. Like, hey, this guy's going to be here. And then you turn and, oh, wait, it's a different guy. He's in a different place. So that's where communication is more important than ever in a series like this. You've got to be able to call out where you are, call out where your opponents are. But you got to be able to keep it quick. You can't be just a chatterbox chatting things up, not allowing your teammates to speak. So I'd love to see, like I said, those big booming clears downfield on target just to keep the DCC varsity squad a little more honest. Let them pull back a little bit, and it'll give you more separation so you can break out of your defensive half later on in the game. But I'd also like to see a little more game sense. If you have opponents that are more mechanical than you, faster than you, that's where, okay, they might be better on the sticks than me, but I can play smarter than they can. I can try and fake them out. I can go for the infield passes. There's so many things that you can kind of add to your repertoire. And we'd like to see that from PSA. I would love to see this go to a Game 7. Obviously, I think everyone would. But for that to happen, we need to see that game sense just heightened just a little bit.
Yeah, that's very true. And, you know, you only get one of these that come around once a year, and we got to give a lot of credit over to PlayVS, be able to get that all moving together. It's a lot of teams. I mean, we had 48 teams in this bracket. Yeah, and I think what, contiguous United States at least, but fall and spring champions, and these teams have not been complacent at all. You actually see the PSA roster as it exists, even changing to the exact last moment before this grand final. They were a completely different beast, and they got 0-4 against Divine Child Falcons in the last time that they were in the finals. So you know that there's unfinished business for this group as well. And I mean, Detroit Catholic Central, they have an entire basically family behind them to be able to find and just be able to promote this wave. If the players can't do it, they will be revitalized from their coaching staff and from everyone that's surrounding them. So you're in a big moment, and luckily for us and for them, they also have a kind of a timeout to really talk it out. And you probably had a little bit more talks with like general coaches, even like a much higher level, Subi. What even like comes into mind to keep your team in this moment and staying competitive now when you're down?
You know, I have talked to a few coaches, and you know, it almost seems like the best coaches in the world have the same kind of mindset when they're going into timeouts. Yeah, you definitely talk strategy, but a coach's job is more about keeping your players calm and keeping their confidence high. You can't just sit there and say, okay, we're going to do X, Y, Z, because it's not always going to translate onto the field. It might not present itself in that game at all. So it's all about, okay, hey, you're doing this super well. Keep doing that. Whether it's challenging the ball, whether it's getting those boost steals, whether it's getting those bumps, the little tiny things. But you can't sit there and pull out a whiteboard and draw up plays. That'll never work. But the best coaches in the world, I mean, it always comes down to, okay, I'm going to boost my players' confidence and just make sure that they're cool, calm, and collected going into this game. You got to control those nerves, especially in these big moments, because we've seen so many players where, yeah, they're better players, but they can't keep the composure. And that's what these big moments are all about. And that's what these coaches are there for. Just kind of, hey, guys, we're all good. You're the best player in the world for a reason. You're in a championship. We've got to lock in. And I guarantee you that's what those coaches were telling their players right now going into game number 4.
Sometimes a good set of jumping jacks just gets you going right. And sometimes one good lofted shot by Kachow lands in the right spot.
Absolutely. And looks like he was doing some jumping jacks in the air there. And just the slightest touch with his wheels to just gently tap that one under the crossbar. Great team play all the way down the field from DCC. And you can tell their confidence at an all-time high right now.
Now, those timeouts work both ways, but still, the one that calls it ends up being the one that blinks. And that means that some extra boost to the morale is on the side of the Shamrocks, looking to run it down. Oh my! Aliotic, you called him the MVP. He's trying to keep that status up.
Yeah, he was a little jealous there on that first goal, not getting involved as Kachow comes in. Great 50, great aggression to just keep Swaz confused. And that ball pops out. Aliotic able to capitalize. And you just blinked, and now it's 0-2 if you're on the Mustangs.
Oh, flip reset. Kachow waiting patiently, trying to dive it in. He and Marcus, you're going to see a lot more of that. But this is actually that overt aggression you were talking about. Hoping that they get something. A full attack by all three. It's on both ends of the pitch. You try to be able to see him swing. Marcus wants to do the same thing. Swaz will elevate and finally cuts down on that space that basically DCC had for free.
Oh, almost squirted through on that one. But if you're on the Mustangs, you like to see that. Now you go, oh, okay, now I know what we can do. Yeah, they are pushing up. Yeah, Subi has played this game a little bit. He might know what he's talking about. And Swaz going to push that one to the corner. Low boost. Elects to go for that midfield. Ends up getting it. Does he have the double? No, he's bumped off by Kachow, and Marcus pushes that one all the way down the pitch. Torrentel able to push that one to the corner, and Marcus misses big time on that one. And an awkward ball at midfield, and finally the Mustangs able to clean things up and push it into the blue half.
It feels like DCC is playing with, you know, Aliotic and Kachow on a set rotation, and they said, Marcus, okay, we want you, since we have the leniency, go crazy. Just go a little bit nuts. And they've been a few double commits here and there, but it's now keying up even some of those that you just cannot really find a better read. And it's because of stuff like this. Marcus, literally the same spot where his teammate drops, and they find a third.
Hey, sometimes you've got a crazy player on your team, and you got to just say, hey, take off the straitjacket and go to work. And that's exactly what Marcus is doing here, just running amok all up and down the field. DCC, 3 goals, and all 3 members have 1 apiece. Just showing you the team play alive and well.
Absolute shell shock. Looking for another one. Look how close Kachow is. Close proximity. And this offense just literally cannot stop thriving.
Oh my goodness. They have just fully pushed the accelerator to the mat and haven't let up. And PSA are just starstruck right now. They have no idea what's hit them in the jaw. They've got to wake up. They've got to show some composure, and they can't put their head down. You can't quit just yet. Still plenty of series to be played. Still plenty of game to be played. We're not even halfway through game number 4, and Aliotic puts them up by 5.
We are on a record to probably get to 12 if this keeps up. I doubt PSA will let it happen, but if you have Aliotic already queued in, especially from the read from his teammate, they have been winning at that back third, not allowing the Mustangs to even get out of the stable. Wow. With the way that they're just on that goal line, you could swear these horses became glue.
Absolutely. This is incredible so far throughout this series for DCC. I don't know if I've ever seen anything like this. They have about 17 goals so far in a championship, mind you, and all of those have been assisted. Absolutely incredible. It is just showing you that every time they are pushing into offense, it's not just one guy. It's all of them. And you better be able to stop the double barrel. And here comes Kachow. Swaz wins that 50. Has available to his right. But again, the offense just a little too spread out. That one gets over to Rentel. And Swaz gets that full boost pad. And they've got to start from square one.
If Full Send was a Rocket League team, it would be DCC. Kachow. Want them to be able to win this off the 50-50. There's 100 seconds left, and that may be a mercy here for the PSA Mustangs, just hoping to be able to get themselves something to run upfield and maybe into the next game with, because as it currently stands, Subi, there won't be much for them to garner at the end of this game. Kachow, maybe a 50-50. Marcus still just running amok, and they have to find something to promote going into the late term of this series.
Yeah, you're not going to tie this game up. I think that's apparent. You know, we almost saw it in game number 2, but that was DCC that made that run. But for the Mustangs, if anything, just get one to go in. There we go. Yeah, I spoke it into existence. That's just what I do. But you get one to go into game number 5 with, just to say, hey, they're not unbeatable. They're not unbreakable. And look at that. The long clear downfield over their heads on target works. It gets them on target, and it's going to start to spread them out. And that's what you need to do. When they're super aggressive and they're scoring like they are, you got to do something.
Well, when you have 5 against you, you start playing a little bit differently on both ends. Desperate to find anything to work on the side of PSA. For DCC, well, it's just all parties and all play and confetti. Aliotic with a back pass is both Kachow and Marcus were at that midfield line, and it feels like this one just needs to be put on ice for later. PSA wants to write it off as a bad nightmare. Marcus, trying to look for something of a ground drop as Swaz on the pickup. That's a great air dribble from ground, but still nothing extra to be found. They've been able to get one, but was that all of a fluke?
I don't think it was a fluke. It's obviously, DCC up by 5, feeling extra confident in that final minute. Yeah, they're not going to be playing as serious, but still, you get one to take into game 5 with you, but what are you going to do with it? You put yourself against the wall. You almost got one there as well, but DCC, 3 games in this series. They're on match point, 1 win away from being champions.
11 shots to 4, and that's what I was looking for. We had a timeout just a little bit ago, and you guys don't see it just yet, but there is, in fact, a sub that's coming through. We had talked about how PSA were adapting, evolving, and changing up their roster to the very last moments. And right now, they deem it necessary. You're in a 3-1 bind. You have to win 3 in a row if you want to play this Play versus National High School Championship. And this is the moment, I guess. Don't let anything be left up to question.
I mean, it's going to be a tough one, and especially with a sub coming in this late in the series. But hey, crazier things have happened, and I like the call. It's not working out. Change things up, whatever it can be. And this is a huge change and can completely change the way this series is being played.
Well, we get to see this one come in just a bit. Obviously, you have just an overtly dominant offense. DCC has been promoting from the midline. They don't even really have to worry too often about how the backline's been happening, and we get to see if PSA can stabilize. So we do see Kazu coming in. They don't have Oxy, they're bringing in Kaz. So can this be just enough? Subi, we have to go to the distance. The champion might be crowned right after this.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy. You're coming in cold. How much have you warmed up? Were you even in the batter's box? We'll find that one out. I mean, I haven't seen something like this in a long time in my career. And Kazu, you know, a lot of pressure put on him. You got to win 3 games in a row. And Haz goes up. Can't quite challenge that one, but this is going to be an opportunity as Kazu pushes this one up. Here comes Swaz. Plenty of boost in the tank, but uses it all to try and get there, and that was a great shot on target, but a better save from Kachow.
Ooh, and already a different revolution that we get out of this side of PSA. Kaz is able to actually get that early stop as they tried for the counterplay. Kaz has a Swaz, by the way. That is a snazzy way to have your team all lined up. This is actually one of the first times here that we don't have an early goal. I'm trying to both bless and curse it, see what the Mustangs can do from their back half.
Yeah, first time this entire series that we haven't had a goal in the first 30 seconds. So already things changing for the better for the Mustangs as Swaz goes up. Great defense there from Marcus to read that shot that Swaz put on. And here comes Haz trying to split the defense with that shot downfield. It looks like Kazu have the shot there as Marcus takes away that pass and slows down that offense from the Mustangs.
Chow just looking for positioning. They see the same kind of little double commit status, that aggression that you've gotten out of DCC upfield, but it does let the third man linger a bit longer. Kachow wants to get a demo, at least thin out this defense that they've not been able to muscle their way through this time, but Kachow, they found it as they worked it from the corner.
The go-ahead goal is in for DCC, and you saw the bunch up there in the corner from Haz and Swaz, kind of leaving the third defender ready to be cooked on the goal line. Gotta have those comms on point, especially on defense, especially with the firepower that we've seen from DCC, and Kachow gonna put them up by 2 off the kickoff.
I want to see where this was missing. It does just feel like a kickoff rotation, and they were trying for so much power to give it over to Swaz, but there was just not enough on the loft, and that ends up being a thievery by DCC as they just take advantage of that one floating right in front of the box.
And like we've said, plenty of time to get to work for the Mustangs, but it just seems like that is so much easier said than done. So hard to break through. They had that just shootout in game number 2, but ever since then, they've just been held to 1 goal per game. Got to break that mold here, and Swaz trying to do so right here, right now. Great challenge there from Haz, and Kazu just keeps it alive as that one's off target.
A slow grind this one on this back third. That's been an issue right now. You talk about kind of a missing offense. There's been on average, about 6 shots, and they've had a couple of nice ones, especially from the perimeter, but they've often not had secondary and tertiary efforts allowing them to be upfield. Aliotic, we're going to lose on this 50 as Kazu is able to get at least a body too, and Swaz was hoping that one would be a starter kit, but a couple of big misses puts Kazu on an island.
Yeah, that was a tough one as well. He was very low boost. Able to catch up to that one. You don't want to find yourself in a 3-goal hole as Haz gets up, and he's actually bumped into that one from Aliotic. Helped him out as here comes Swaz. He's got the boost, gets the reset, gets the shot, as that one's saved by Aliotic. But now you have DCC awkward on that back line. Can they capitalize?
Swaz trying to do it with his outside fender, but you're basically turning yourself into a big fat target, and that one's going to bounce back in. The Kazu seems to have at least some confidence. If they've not had the majority of it, looking for a negative angle. Aliotic was just pinned on their backboard and nearly found themselves the third goal.
Oh, and Swaz almost had the bump. That one would have just rolled in. 90 seconds to go here. Game number 5. DCC on match point. The Mustangs have to get to work if they want to send this one to game number 6.
Ka-chow with some aerial antics, and then they still drop down with it, even with Kaz lurking in front of them. Swaz, they may be outplayed. They do have their teammate able to get it, but no power. That forces Haz to advance out, looking for a chance. They see Swaz. They're going to try and connect with them. They do! Oh, but look at the defense standing strong.
Standing firm on that back line. That was such a great opportunity for the Mustangs. They've got to get this ball all the way back down the field. It's been so tough to rip it away from DCC. In comes Marcus. Great challenge on target. This one just going to fall down, but he can't put it in. Still hope for the Mustangs.
One from distance. Swaz has to beat literally everyone. Flip reset. Can they get back to it? Kaz. No, it's Haz. Everyone lurking. They're going full send, and they're able to get one. They cut this lead in half with just enough time.
33 seconds to go on the clock, and they have a pulse. They have a heartbeat. There is hope for the Mustangs. 1 goal to go to tie us up, and this kickoff ever important for PSA.
You go for possession, or do you go for default? They win it over. Swaz, can they isolate everyone? They go over the top. What a find. Kazu on the outside wall. 25 seconds remaining. That's a handoff and a strike. What a takeaway.
You can't let this ball get out of the half. The goal's wide open, and Swaz ties us up, clutching up at the last moment.
Haz with the demo. He turns immediately. You had one man to beat if you're Kaz, and Swaz with the pickup. Oh, wow. The entire identity of this game has just flipped on its head.
Still not out of the woods yet. We've seen kickoff goals come out from DCC, and this one gonna be awkward for Haz. Gotta keep that one away, and he does from Ka-chow, but still this ball working right to left, left to right, and DCC still on the offensive forefront. Here comes Swaz. He's gotta get another touch. Let this ball hit the ground, or better yet, not gonna send us with the giveaway goal as we go into overtime. PSA Mustangs clutching up at the most important moment, and that one almost getting away from them.
Gotta stabilize. That's on both sides. Big demos are happening across the entire pitch. It's a Michael Bay movie, and it could end with one. 15 seconds, now more than that, as they try to connect upfield. Swaz is going to be behind both Haz and Kazu. And Kazu is just forcing them to be honest about it, as Ka-chow and Marcus will link up. You cannot let a free ball go wandering into the perimeter. Haz and Swaz, they at least find one. Aliotic looking for the kill shot. So is Marcus. Everyone's shooting.
Oh, and a great bump there from Marcus to keep the offense alive. In comes Ka-chow to just keep the defense honest as Marcus pushes this one up. He has Ka-chow lurking at midfield. And again, DCC just doing a great job at maintaining the offensive pressure. You just got to boom this ball downfield, get it out of their clutches, and they can't quite do it as Aliotic just got that boost. This one awkward, top of the box. Can they do it? No, the Mustangs hold on.
Oh, barely! By their fingertips. Fingernails are being ripped off with how hard the grip is right now. Haz and the rest of the gang looking for something to escape rip. There's no escape rope at all. 80 seconds burned, and it feels like we've lived it here in this orange half. Mustangs praying for some level of space, and they found just enough.
How has that only been in a minute and a half? It's felt like an eternity for both of these teams, as Kazu gonna try and get the offense started for the first time here in overtime. Let's see what they can work with, as already the ball back in the orange half. DCC doing a great job of controlling the pitch, controlling Swaz as this ball goes out. And my, oh my, Marcus just so confident to rotate in, and here comes Kaz. Plenty of time, plenty of space, 1v1, can't get past the defender. The ball at the top of the box, and Swaz has an opportunity.
They were looking for the hook shot. Oh, they just diamond past both. Oh, 2 minutes, and it feels like our heartbeats are going 90 miles an hour as everything tries to just go a little bit slower. Looking for some neutral zone play. Has rotates away, and Kazu will give his life for a touch to his teammate. Looking for that redirect offside wall. Swaz will see it scream on in and scream on out, and now the Shamrocks
that's nice.
trying to find a little bit of good ball luck.
That inadvertent touch was actually perfect for what the Mustangs needed to get this ball back into the blue half. They've got to get some semblance of offense going. So far, it's just been chaos trying to just shoot that one on target, and this is going to be a free play here for Haz. Just launches it up off the ceiling, gets the boost steal, and allows Swaz to slow things up. He has Kaz waiting midfield, but not going to utilize him just yet, as DCC doing a great job of keeping this ball in the corner and get a demo to slow things up as well.
They were trying to run with it in stride, but it's been so difficult to do so because when they catch it, it's when they were initially on the way out. Swaz gets challenged by Marcus, and that will fall away as you see a demo by Aliotic trying to force the reset of this rotation out of the Mustangs. That's going to drop into open waters, looking for a dunk. Swaz always on this backboard. Great defense, and they get that nice takeaway.
Wow. Talk about confidence right there. Going off your back wall straight down the barrel of center field as Kaz and Swaz bump on that one. Little miscommunication, and things are starting to chip away. Here comes DCC, and Aliotic actually hits it away from Marcus and turns this ball over.
Chow will boom it to the opposite corner. Not quite safe enough as Haz sticks with it, and Kaz doesn't want to misplay it. They, at the very last second, let Swaz have a much better look. Marcus on target, baby, no! It'll be denied again, and we're at 4 minutes in OT.
Swaz with the fly swatter on the goal line, keeps that one on as Aliotic has the boost. Gonna hand this one off to Marcus, and that one's off target, but a demo for Kazu to slow things up. Upper 90, can't quite rattle in, and again, the varsity squad from DCC has been so close, yet so far away. But can Marcus do it? He does, and punches DCC, the champions of the PlayVS Cup.
Wow. Aliotic waiting it out, turning in, and Kazu left a Carling too far. Marcus ends up being the one who finds the dish, and that is going to be Detroit Catholic Central will be your PlayVS national champions.
Wow. I cannot believe this one. Incredible showing from both teams coming down to the wire. It felt like we were in Game 7 right there, but the Mustangs did such a good job of really giving it a fight in their last breath. That overtime was so tense the entire time. But again, congratulations to Detroit Catholic Central High School, your PlayVS Cup national champions. It was a long road, a long journey, and a hard-fought victory here. You gotta say, you know, the Mustangs didn't lay down there when their backs were completely against the wall.
No, heroic moments, everyone coming together in those final seconds, a score with what, 30 some odd seconds to go, and they're able to turn it in. That was beautiful, but it ended up being the elongated OT, and the Mustangs simply couldn't get the job done and run away from Marcus. It was the full composite. How many goals were there that were completely assisted? That team is ridiculous.
I can count for you.
Yeah,
Was the overtime goal
high
assisted?
percentages? Ooh, was it?
I don't know. They left so early, so the scoreboard wasn't accurate. But there was, let's see, 3 in Game 1, 5 in Game 2, 4 in Game 3, 5 in Game 4, 3 in Game 5. I mean, it's just, these guys were just showing what true offense is. And when you've got a team and a squad that you can play with and you're just gelling and vibing, things just work out. Even if you're overly aggressive, there was a reason behind that. They just couldn't be stopped.
Oh, yeah, that's 20 goals, by the way. That's fast caster math, and thanks, Subi, for being able to collect all those together. That is amazing. I got to see them in the semis, and I knew something special was brewing, and then they deliver one of the only big losses that this Mustang squad's had, and sadly for them, it's right at the doorstep. But something not to be sad about, they're still able to walk away from second place with $3,000. That is great tuition money to be able to have. On the other end, $4,500 for the side of DCC. That is fantastic of what they've been able to get. bracket, and as well as some hardware to walk home and away with. Subi, this was a special match. It felt like we had at least pseudo 6 games with that extra OT, and I'm glad we got to see that.
It definitely was, and what an honor to be here with you, Hail Monkey Man, to get to call this championship. It was such a hard-fought victory for DCC, but at the end of the day, I can't wait to see what Jamesboy has to say for Jordy, because he dominated him in that prediction there. So let's just go ahead and go back to Jamesboy and Jordy on the desk.